everybody, I'm Carla with Race to Walk, and it is time for another update in Hacked the Saga. So what is this? Well, on my YouTube channel, Race to Walk, it was originally to share good thoughts about words, and that meant Bible studies and book reviews. And those Bible studies and book reviews were so good that they got stolen. And all of my platforms and my website sabotaged, in addition to being hacked by the people who did it to cover up their theft. So anyway, I reported all of these things to authorities. There was nothing happened, no response. And so I started live streaming about it. And my first live stream was on August 4th, 2024. And it was titled A Message to My Stalker. The next day, on August 5th, 2024, so do the math. I've been doing this for, 19 months now. Obviously, I didn't do the math before I came on. But anyway, the very next day, all of my accounts were hacked. Everything was taken over. And I've been dealing with, I've just been trying to reclaim the damage of that ever since. So it's significant, and it's related to this live stream because the topic of this live stream that we're going to be discussing today is the Pensieve Protocol, which, if you are familiar with the Harry Potter series, the Pensieve is in several of the movies, and the books, but it's this bowl that is, it's kind of like, it's not a wishing well, but it's has all these memories in it, and people can go back into and see all these memories to find out not only what went on, to remember things, to kind of sort through things, but also to see like the emotion and what led to events happening. So in the Order of the Phoenix, Dumbledore uses a pensieve to show Harry how the situation with Dumbledore came about. So the reason that I titled this for this particular live stream, this is the thing. I've been talking about what these people have been doing, and I actually know who they are, since for all this time. This is episode number 70. I'm tired of talking about them. They do the same things over and over again. So I just started a new series within that Hack the Saga called Defense Against Digital Dark Arts. And this is about how to protect yourself against these unscrupulous people who use these underhanded means to steal identities, steal influence, interrupt relationships, and basically just bring chaos wherever they are. So for whatever reason, the people that I know are doing it because they're supposedly Christian content experts, and what they really do is steal content from other Christians and sabotage your platform and fake engagement. That's what they do. But that's not the only, people that are doing this sort of thing. It's not the only situation where these types of things happen, but what this series is, Defense Against Digital Dark Arts, is about how to, the criminals it's hard to protect against them because they just are focused on evil. Go read through the Psalms and what the Lord says about the wicked, and it just, almost daily I come across something in the Bible that just completely describes the mindset and mentality of these people. But in order to make a change and to defend against it, you have to document what's happening. As I've shared in several live streams, I have so much documentation, and I have made so many reports to authorities, and I have given names, addresses, emails, phone numbers, and descriptions about where they can find these people. It's not hard, and still nothing has happened. And so there's a few things that I think need to happen. Number one is, I think that most normal people who aren't a bunch of criminals don't actually realize the types of things that are going on, and that enables the criminals, right? So if you don't know something is possible, if you don't know these things are going on, then you can't really defend against it. And you may see some weird things, but you don't really pay close attention to it, right? And even if you do, if you go, as I said in my last live stream, if you go and tell authorities one little thing, they're probably going to dismiss it, and they're not going to think that it's a big deal. But what this series is about systematically documenting whatever it is that's going on. If you are a content creator and you think your work is being stolen, or your platforms are being sabotaged, or you're being hacked, or you're being stalked, or whatever it is, this is about documenting what is going on and doing so in a way that you can sue them. Sue the individuals, sue platforms, whoever. It's about collecting information in a way that will hold up under legal scrutiny. So that is what this is about. And I am starting I'll show you here. There's a couple of things on my Hack the Saga site. So as just an FYI, as we're going through this live stream, what normally happens, maybe it won't happen this time, but what normally happens is that there's usually some little attempted interference in the stream. You may say, do people really spend time trying to sabotage you? Oh, yes. Yes, they do. It surprises me. It just gets to a point where I cannot even believe the depths people will sink to sabotage a third grade Sunday school teacher who was just teaching Bible studies to Afghan Christians who were in Pakistan. It's just amazing to me. But this just shows you the need for the cross and what evil truly is, right? So anyway, going on to Hack the Saga, I have a couple of sub-series. So if you go on this main page, I have Marion County Property Fraud Investigation. This is kind of like a little sub-series that I just kind of happened across. I just happened to discover a fraudulent sheriff sale in Marion County, Oregon. And so I did some investigation in that. There's actually an update about it. But also this second one is this Defense Against Digital Dark Art series. So I do have a little bit more than I need to add here. And I am going to be having a download. I know I said that last time, but this is the thing. I'm not exaggerating when I say that it never ends. The attacks never end. And part of it is I see the things that are happening, but it's like, it must be that there's just like I said, a chamber of commerce for criminals, like some directory for criminals who will go and hack or, follow people around or whatever. I don't know. But anyway, there have been a number of things that have happened just generally in the past 2 weeks since I streamed last. I've had, I had mail stolen. And so I reported this, right, to some different people than agencies that I've been reporting before. And after that, it was just like nonstop hacking of my devices. And it's not like, so why don't you get like antivirus or whatever? I have that, but they have these devices. I guess they're called Wi-Fi pineapples or something. I don't know. Don't ask me. I'm not a hacker. So this is just what I read. I don't know. But if they get close enough to you, they can steal your sessions. And so their favorite thing to steal is my Proton, to my Proton passwords. That's one of the things. But they've also been like really hardcore about getting into my Twitter accounts. I have no idea why. I don't know. I do know that they've been trying to impersonate me repeatedly, but it's still kind of, I don't understand loser. It's a struggle for me. So anyway, what we have been talking about is building that investigative dossier. And I had shared before that I have all this information, right? All these screenshots, I've done all these reports, I've made all these reports, and it's been going on since even before I started live streaming. I first started reporting to authorities in April of 2024. So we're going on almost 2 years, right? And it becomes overwhelming, right? But a couple of weeks ago, I went to this, I just happened across this site called Media Helping Media. If you go to the site, it's mediahelpingmedia.org. And I found one of their articles about building an investigative dossier. So this particular site is training for journalists. So their investigative dossier was about writing a story, right? But as I started putting that together, I was like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I need, because it talks about having a timeline of events, a cast of characters. So this is what, who the people are, and then also having a log for evidence, right? And so that was just a complete game changer for me, because I'm like, okay, this is how I can make this, all the information that I have, useful. And as I've been doing this, as I've been starting to do this, I have been using, this is the thing, a lot of my communications are blocked, but I've been using like Claude AI and Gemini to like, okay, what should I do to make this so that it can be presented in court, right? And so that expanded a little bit. So what I have now is a little bit more than what is on Media Helping Media. But we talked about, if you go back and look at one of the previous ones, we talked a little bit about it. So the tools that I'm using are Proton, their Drive, and they have something similar to Google Sheets, but as I explained in that other live stream, it's a little bit different, and the feel is a little bit different. It's also a lot newer product. They just launched it, I think it was in December of last year. So it isn't quite, if you're used to Google Sheets, it's not quite the same, but personally, if you go back and look at my updates, up until pretty recently, most of the sabotage came through one Google product or another. All right, I think I'm back. Something disconnected, and then all of a sudden, these things just happened. So I don't even know what to tell you, but this is just, again, like I said, this is par for the course. This is just the kind of stuff that happens. And I'm on a VPN, so it's not like I'm just streaming, unprotected. Okay, so this particular live stream, I want to focus on specifically for YouTube creators. And I'd like to speak directly to Christian YouTube creators, because that's basically what my channel is. I know that the people that are targeting me have not only stolen my work, but have targeted other Christian writers too, Christian creators, whatever it is. And I think that a lot of times as, especially as Christians, if we're doing something like a Bible study or, reflection or whatever it is, we're doing it because we feel like God's led us to do that, right? And so sometimes I think that we don't always, our main goal is to do it because we felt like God is leading us to do it, right? And so the money isn't primary, it's secondary. But if somebody's making money off of it, it should be you, right? Somebody else should be stealing your work and making money off it. So here's the thing. The Christian industrial complex, this is just like all this money, right? The books, the conferences, all of that. The last time I looked, I think it was like a $7 billion industry. And I don't think that covers things like YouTube channels. I don't think it does. I think it's a lot bigger than that number is. And when you have an area where there's a lot of money in it and there's a lot of influence in it, there is a lot of effort to have a piece of that big pie by a lot of people who really have no business being a part of it, right? They know nothing about the Bible. They're not Christians themselves. They're solely in it for the money. It's like back in Acts where Simon the magician saw the miracles that I think it was Peter and Paul. Who was it? I didn't think about this before I went on the stream, but anyway, he said, give this to me too. He wanted it for the commercial benefit that he'd be able to get. And, they said he was cursed. They literally call it simony because of that, right? And we have a lot of that in the church today. We have people hawking their books from pulpits. We have people manipulating, taking it like we're the spiritual authority, and so you should give us your money or whatever. And they're in no way shepherds of any flock at all, right? So, my point is that there's a lot of financial incentive to creating Christian content, even if the people who want to create it have no interest in Christ himself at all, or have no understanding of the Bible. And so what they do is they steal other people's work, right? This is what happened to me. I know this has happened to a lot of other people. I think that when you're in those Facebook groups or other things like that, you make comments on Quora, there's probably people that are in there watching out for people who have good answers that might be creators, writers, so they can target them, so they get a new source, for their fraud and their theft. So I'm just saying, this stuff is going on. I am an example that this is going on, but I know it's not only me. So what we're going to be talking about today is how to really sort through, not only document any sabotage to your content in your platform, but to sort through it and to create some information that can be used as evidence of this sabotage. So I'm going to be specifically talking about YouTube transcripts. So when I first started doing, my channel was started in 2013, but I first started doing Bible studies and book reviews regularly in 2019. And I was just, I know about SEO from doing marketing for clients and for my own sites. I knew that it was, Google and YouTube, the Google search and YouTube are owned by the same company. They're operating on the same principles. And I knew about, search volume and, going for things that weren't super competitive. But honestly, when I first started doing my Bible studies, I knew that, but I wasn't focusing my Bible studies on that. I just thought, okay, God, what do you want me to do? And that's what I did. It's not that I didn't understand it. It's just that I didn't let that be my north, basically. So that isn't a recipe for fast growth on YouTube. However, and the other thing too is that when you're doing Bible studies or the type of content that I do, again, it's a huge pool, right? You're not in this little niche. You're in this huge ocean of people creating content. And so when there's this concept of authority in, whether it's in search or whether it's on YouTube, websites and channels that have more authority, so more subscribers, more traffic, more links, whatever it is. I certainly hope that this is as choppy as it's looking to me on my laptop. It doesn't show that to me on my iPad, but on my laptop it's looking really choppy. But anyway, we'll just go on. Anyway, you're up against some big names, right, when you're doing Bible studies. So just saying I'm a Christian channel doing Bible studies, you're just kind of floating out there in this big sea, right? And so YouTube's algorithm is about you want to be specific enough that they can identify the type of people that want to see your content, right? But you don't want to be so general that you're up against these big names. So it's when you're small, it's really a challenge, right? So the thing that made a difference for me on my channel is in 2022, I took Sean Cannell's, he has this training group, and he was talking, I can't remember if he said this or it was another person giving advice on YouTube growth, but I started correcting my captions of my Bible studies. So there's two things. Started correcting all my captions and the auto-generated captions on my videos, and I also started creating playlists. And that was when some of my YouTube Bible studies started taking off. So since 2020, every single video I've ever done, part of my process is correcting the transcript. That's just what I've done. So last year, I noticed that there was some pretty significant sabotage on the captions, and these people that stole my work, claimed that we were affiliated, which we were not. We graduated from the same apologetics program. Yeah, I know. And they can, I spent a lot of time putting out an unexpected journal, which people contributed to, and that was our only association besides being, friends on Facebook. That was it. And I'm not going to get into all that, but anyway, they spent 6 months from December 2024 through May of 2025 sabotaging my YouTube transcripts. So when I say sabotaging, I mean like changing my name, really changing the words that I said, sometimes flipping the meaning to something totally opposite, mangling references so it would never be found, on certain books that I was doing reviews on, and inserting like really spiteful comments in the transcripts. And so that was one thing. But what I've realized lately is that it wasn't just the manual stuff, right? There's literally there's systematic scripts, these agentic scripts that are designed to change the things that you say, right? And so this is what we're going to talk about. I want to show you this. Let me go here. We'll see how far we can go here. Okay, so I'm going to go over and I'm just going to show you the back end of my YouTube channel. So this is not how a YouTube channel should look. And anybody who does YouTube is going to see what the problem is. So here on my channel, if you see this, let me flip over. Okay. So I'm just going to go here, and this is my last live here. I am live here, right? I'm going to show you what this looks like. So this is the back end of YouTube. Now, do you see here, right here where it says languages? That should say subtitles. So I actually don't even have a subtitle dashboard at all. I mean, what I have is this. It says review your dev voice. I don't even know. I have no idea what that even is. Is there any, do you see any subtitles with the date here? No. I can go into this and it will say, and now I've edited this because that's not how it normally will say, but anyway, I can get into that. You can download subtitles here, but what this should be, it should be a subtitles field, right? And it should have the date that it was generated with the language. And then, so what it will say is it will have automatically generated, and then there'll be a language file up above it. And when you edit it, then that language file should become the master, basically. I don't have that. What I had been doing when I discovered all that sabotage of literally every single video on my channel was I was going through, I was taking a photo of that subtitle field or that subtitle screen, and then I was copying the corrupted transcript and pasting it into a document so I could document the damage. And I kept doing that, and as some of the ones that I corrected, they went behind me and sabotaged them again. So I don't know if that was that sabotage was automated, or if it was, oh, it's showing really weird on my laptop, or if it was something else. But here's the thing, that is illegal, right? That is illegal for several different reasons. But this is, I don't even know if I have this. This is what happened. I was preparing this. I was going to do this live stream yesterday, but I got into, I thought I got into setting up more information and slides. I thought, okay, I'm not going to be able to get into all of that, so I was just going to stream today. But I had it all prepped, right? And I had my Scrivener project with, all of the, the things I was going to reference. So I go today to open my laptop and start the Scrivener project. And do I have this? I think I did a screenshot of this. Let me look. I think I did. No, I didn't. I didn't upload it. Anyway, it's a screenshot of, I have a screenshot of this. Is they had hacked my laptop and deauthorized Scrivener, which is where I put everything in. Everything I write, everything I create, everything goes into a Scrivener project. So that was sabotaged some way. I don't know if they got my license and hacked my computer, got the license, and then authorized another device using my license, which deactivated mine, or excuse me, if they hacked the registry on my laptop somewhere. I don't know which one it was. They also deleted the Scrivener files. And so it's, I don't even know what to say about that. It's just a little weird. But there's a lot of effort into not only sabotaging people who might be a competitor, but also it appears into letting people know this type of thing is going on. So we're going to talk about like building that dossier, and it's not only about documenting the things that happen, right? But what we're going to be doing is we'll see if this works. I'm going to show you what I've started doing on each of my transcripts. So I have what I normally do when I do a live stream is, and I wasn't doing all this at first, okay, because I was I even saving the sabotage? No, this is the thing. When I corrected all those live streams back in 2020, I never saved any of the transcripts files. I never saved a single one. That would have saved so much time if I had done that. So this is for you as a creator, right? So if you have a YouTube channel, number one, this is what I would do after you publish it, after you live stream, whatever it is. As soon as the transcripts generate, download the copies of the transcripts. Now, a normal person with a non-jacked channel, they'll be able to download just the raw form, and then as well as 3 different forms of timestamps. Download all of them, save them as raw transcripts or whatever. Then go through and edit it, okay? Edit the captions, and then make sure you have copies of all those same transcript files that are corrected. And just say, this is the video date, corrected number. And then, as we talked about a couple weeks ago, you want to, this is the thing, this may sound extreme, but I'm telling you, you will thank me if somebody starts after you. You want to save all of those files, right? The original ones, the corrected ones, and you want to, if you're saving it on your laptop, you want to save it in 2, preferably 2 digital external drives. Save it to a cloud drive, and also it probably might be good to like email it to yourself, right? So you have maybe 2 different emails, right? So you have a copy on both of those. I have been always using it as a text file, but also you could also save at least one of the copies as a PDF. Okay, so you have what was originally generated and you have what it should be. Okay, so that's what most people are able to do. I cannot do that because my main channel is jacked. So when I'm done with the live stream, what I have to do is I will download the raw transcript from this live stream on my original channel. Then I have to download the video and upload it to a different channel. And then it'll let the captions generate and then correct them and then export those timestamp captions because I can't get it off my regular channel. So you have all of this, right? And you save it. But what I have been doing, and this is what I recommend if you think that your channel might be being targeted. And we're going to talk a little bit about who might be doing this. But if you are somebody who has had your channel for a while, you kind of have a feel for this is the way it was before and that's just not working anymore. It may be because your captions are being sabotaged. Like I said, I started getting traction when I started editing my captions. I haven't had time to go through, I have over 500 videos on my channel. Do you have any idea how much time it's going to take going through and watching every single one and correcting it to what it needs to be? Because it's not just missed caption words. It's literally changing meaning. So I have to watch it and listen to it for meaning. But anyway, if you think that may be the case for you, and one of the ways that you should be able to tell this is if you go back and look at your caption files, and if the dates of the editing are different from, like, let's just say that you have not edited your captions at all, then the date of the last edit should be the same date that they were generated. Or if you do go and edit your captions, then and the last edit date or the last change date is different, then that's another clue that you're being sabotaged. So anyway, this is what I've been doing. And I'm just going to switch over to here. Okay, so I'm going to have this in my digital defense kit that you can download. You're just going to have to, you're just going to have to, you're just going to have to sign up for my newsletter and I will get it out as soon as I can. There's just been a lot going on. So anyway, I'm using Claude AI and I have a prompt. I'm going to provide this in there. So what I'm doing is I'm having, oh shoot, hold on. This is, I had to modify this because I was timing out on this, on the, this model. But anyway, this is the one that I did, and I haven't ran this one yet, so we'll just see what happens. But this is my captions from my beginning of the year live stream. And so what I'm asking it to do, the model to do, is to compare, let's see how fast this runs, is to compare the captions it generated with the captions, with the corrected captions, to see if the things that are mistranslations are things that just an AI translator would do, or if it's deliberate and if there's malice behind it. So while this is running, usually this is faster. We'll see what goes on there. Oh shoot, darn it. Oh my gosh, you guys. So here's the deal. I have my laptop plugged in and it's not, there's no power to it. So, and I am plugged in. So this is what this tells me, is that it's going to probably run out while I'm doing this, and we'll just go from there. Anyway, so once again, this isn't running. It's not actually, it's probably not going to run it. Anyway, let me see if I can just show you this, and I'll show you what it looks like. All right. So this is one that I ran on the Marion County. This is crazy. Anyway. The Marion County fraud investigation. So here's the thing. That one had massive sabotage on the transcripts. Not only did it have massive sabotage on the transcripts, but I ran this summary on that to see, the number of tampering comparison. Let's do this one. Let's see. We're going to stop sharing. And then I'm just going to show you this because I'm sure my laptop's going to die in a little bit. Okay. I'm going to close that. Hold on. All right. So we're going to share. Screen share. Let's see. Hold on. Okay. So let me change this a little bit. This is one of the documents that I'm just going to do full screen so you can see it. This is on that Marion County. Just a second. This is on that the first live stream that I did of the Marion County fraud sale. That it was a fraudulent property sale, and this is showing a summary of the tampering of it. So my name was changed, which this is common. My brand name was changed, race to what, all of them are like that. Marion County was changed, and then this one, some of these aren't that massive, but some of the other ones, yeah, some of the other ones were. And this is just doing this is the comparison analysis. Then we have, I'll show you another one. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, so this is another document that Claude will, the AI agent will generate based on this prompt. And this is like the sheriff's sale tampering. This is when I ran it. And it talks about the harm that's done based on the amount of sabotage to it. This has a timeline. This is the thing. It depends on how much information that you give it. But this gives a summary of it. And this is something that, like, this is a summary. This is human malice, not automation. Proven beyond reasonable doubt. Personal knowledge is required. Insider information about the victim. Understanding of context and consequences. Awareness of psychological impact. Spite-driven choices. There's blasphemy selection. This is how they changed the text in gender targeting. Anyway, systematic humiliation, psychological warfare, strategic placement for maximum impact. Just a lot of, they're just trying to destroy reach, destroy reputation through this manipulation. So let me see, there's another one that has, is this one? But it gives you quite a bit of documentation on this. And it just gives a summary. And on one of them, here's the thing. I had things deleted off my laptop yesterday. So I can't remember if I backed all this up. But that was one of them. And which was another one? Nope, didn't do that one. Hold on. Okay. Yeah. So on that particular one on the 21st, this is, some of these have been deleted, but the sabotage was so bad on the first one, but I had generated some of these reports for Claude to analyze, right? And then when I went back to run, because I was looking at it, I was like, this isn't, I was looking at another one. They had altered the sabotage version so that it wasn't as bad as it had been originally. So they sabotaged the sabotage version to try to cover their tracks. This is literally what happened. But I had a backup on my hard drive of what the sabotage version was originally, so I was able to tell. So this is what the summary is. The creator preserved the original sabotage captions on an external hard drive. When she later uploaded what she thought was the same sabotage file from her laptop, the files didn't match. Conclusion, perpetrators accessed her laptop and edited the sabotage caption file to make the corruption appear less severe, thereby destroying evidence of their own crime. This is the kind of stuff that's going on. And I realize that not everybody is investigating people stealing houses. But here's the thing. I'm going to be showing you this for, hold on just a second. I'm going to take this off. Okay. So here's the thing. Some of the things that have been sabotaged on my transcripts, some of them I know that they were the friends that were accessing my YouTube channel through that hacked, or they had hacked a Google Family Group onto my main Gmail account, and that's how they were accessing a lot of things. I know some of it is that, but that was deleted in July. And so all of this property sabotage, all of that, nobody should be having access to my Gmail account. They're not getting it that way. I don't have anything connected, no apps, no authorizations. I don't have anything connected to that YouTube channel. Okay, so it's not coming through that. But what there is, and I don't think that a lot of people realize this because I didn't, and when I did, it explains so much about what's going on. Okay, my battery shut down, so I can't show you this. But anyway, there are, you as a creator, right? You have access to your channel, but there are YouTube partners or agencies that have these, it's like a tiered system of access. So it's like with, same thing happened with my Twitter accounts. Somehow, like in this complete account takeover, I think, they authorized, they put all of my accounts under what is like a verified organization with Twitter, right? So these verified organizations are the big brands, or they have thousands and thousands of accounts that they're running on Twitter. And so they have control over these affiliate accounts. And it looks like they made my accounts as affiliates. So they basically control them. I don't have full access to my account. Same thing happened with my Apple account. I shared that with Fusion Media. I can't even access all the information on my own publishing account because they've sabotaged it. When they did that hacking, they put themselves as having more control over that account. So there are these accounts or these agencies that have thousands of channels. I've said this before. A lot of these little controversies, like especially like in the Christian channels, where like, oh, one person's having an issue with this, and another, they're like talking about, what one person said, or these watchdog channels. They're all part of the same crew. They're not just somebody sitting there, having an opinion. They are basically livestock puppets saying what they're told to say and talking about whatever their channel owners tell them to say. So if you are there as an independent person and you're not saying what's authorized by the big dogs, then you're probably going to get sabotaged. This is a literal thing. And just today, I was, going through and setting this up, and I asked Gemini, can you please, I have a article to share about this, that this is just a thing. This is reputation management, going and altering videos to make sure that whatever said fits with the, these dukes of YouTube, their brand guide for their channels or who they're representing. Like, just for example, I've said this before. I have, in a couple of my videos, I have talked about Bart Ehrman, who, he's a New Testament scholar and he's a skeptic. I've shared, I've never read one of his books. I've never taken a class from him. I don't know him personally. I know people who do know him personally. And I know that these people that I know are scholars, and it's not that they don't like him personally. They're just frustrated because he presents things in a manipulative way. That's all I said. And I also said he puts the truth in the footnotes, but if somebody is, if they don't, who reads the footnotes, especially if they make them as endnotes, right? So somebody that doesn't read the footnotes, then they're not gonna actually know the truth. They're gonna think a lie, the misrepresentation is the truth. But then the scholars who actually do read the footnotes aren't gonna be able to take issue with him because he did actually say what was true, and that's what I said, right? Every time I mention Bart Ehrman's name in a video, it gets changed to Bartman. That's not what I said. I said Bart Ehrman. And this is, I think it's sabotage of my video because this is, to me, Bartman is from The Simpsons, right? And so if you have Bartman in a video, you're not going to be coming up in any sort of theological discussion, right? So this is sabotage, but this is a way that, changing what's said, it pushes you into the wrong pool of videos. And so you're being buried because your captions are being sabotaged. That's why they sabotage my brand name. And this is the thing. This happens before. So if you are, let me just clarify for people who don't know how transcript generation works. Something like Raised to Walk, that's not an obvious brand name, right? It should be lowercase. The YouTube transcription will usually capitalize proper names, but Raised to Walk is not a known, it really isn't a known brand name, right? And so those should be all lowercase letters. But they're not. Every single time it comes out of the YouTube transcript generation, this is what will happen. It will say, it's processing. At one point it said 36 minutes. And then it almost came out, and then it said, oh, almost done. I've never seen that message ever. I've never seen that almost done message. Then they had, it was in processing for a long time after that. That was sabotaged as soon as I was able to get to it. So it's not that particular. Here's the thing. That one particular one that I'm thinking of, there was a lot of manipulation to it before I could even get to it. So it's somebody that has, or some program that has inside access to it. But the way some of the things were changed, I don't think that it could be just programmed to do that. So I think that based on what I found today, or what I read today, was that there is a YouTube partner that has programmed certain brand modifications so that anytime this content ID, right? So instead of, they have my race to walk, a content ID match, so it's automatically changed to Carlo race to walk. So sabotaging my brand. Is this legal? No, it's not. And here's the thing. YouTube and other platforms, they have gotten away from accountability because they just fall back on Section 230, which says that internet providers and platforms aren't responsible for the actions of the users. But like I said in my live stream back in, when was it? November, the predators of Facebook. Common sense says that assumes that the platform is not enabling, facilitating, and providing the tools for those crimes to be committed, which they are. So if you have a tiered system and those people at the top of the tier are using those tools to sabotage their competitors that they've stolen from, and YouTube does nothing, then that means that YouTube is complicit. I have had my Bright Sheep Ministries YouTube account or channel stolen. It was hijacked off my email. I have tried to contact YouTube multiple times. They've denied it every single time. That has private videos on it of people in desperate situations. They're refugees, Christian refugees, that their names getting out could risk their lives, and some reprobates have it. And what the point of stealing that was, I don't know, other than I had stopped writing Bible studies, and that has a whole channel full of Bible studies that they hadn't gotten access to, right? So there's that. So I was told that having 30 to 40 Bible studies that are translated into Dari, which there's not a lot of material out there in that language. It's geopolitically significant, and also having that sort of biblical content is like the gold standard for training AI models on, because that information is so well known, right? So the Bible's translated into multiple languages, multiple translations, and so there's all these data points for that new language coming in. And I was told it's probably worth like $100,000 as an AI data training set. That was stolen, and it's still not. It still hasn't been returned. So YouTube is not only enabling criminals, but they know about it. I've reported these things multiple times, and again, let me say that every one of my accounts was completely taken over the day after I did the live stream on August 4th that had a video clip that showed that YouTube's analytics were faked. So it could have been that what I have access to is just, complete. I know that it is. The analytics on my account are completely false. Um, engagement is changed. It's just a wreck. And so I just have not had, I haven't had time to move over to a different channel. I mean, I've been publishing content regularly since 2019. It's 7 years of content. I literally have over 500 videos. And that takes a lot of time to restore sabotage on. But anyway, my point is about all of this is that, I'm sorry this has been so up and down because it's just what it is. It's a little crazy to me that people put so much effort into trying to block what I say. But that's the way it is. But what I would like for everyone to that publishes anything, but particularly Christian content creators, is to take your work seriously, recognize the value that it has, and if you think that somebody's sabotaging and coming after it, then you know what? Start building your own investigative dossier. You can go to my website, racetowalk.org. Off that Hack the Saga site or page, there is another link to the live streams I did just in this particular series. Like I said, I will have, when I can get to it, in the middle of, all the constant continual attacks, I'm going to have a digital defense toolkit that you can download that has some of these prompts. It has the spreadsheet that you can use to create your own, whether you do that on your laptop or on Google Sheets. I personally don't recommend Google, but you can use it if you want, or if you want to use Proton. But and I also include these prompts that you can use on, I don't even know if it ever generated, but you can use on Claude or I don't know, another one that you want to use to generate these reports that translate what's happened to your channel and your site or your platform into language that other people can understand, particularly attorneys. What's going on now is basically like the Wild West and the Gold Rush, and having these gangs going out and just taking whatever they want from these individual creators. That's what's going on. That's not legal. It's illegal. No one should have a right to change what you say. No one should be able to sabotage a competitor, particularly with platform provided tools to do so. All of these things are legal, and it's multiple. I'm not an attorney and I don't pretend to be one on Twitter, but there are multiple crimes. I am one person, right? I'm documenting what I have, and just with a handful of sabotage transcripts, the evidence I have it's significant damages, right, against the people who are doing it and against YouTube. But the more people who are documenting this and showing evidence of the harm of the way YouTube is set up, is the better. Is we could be talking about class action lawsuits, right? The more people that, because I'm not the only one. The more people that document the things that are being done, the stronger the case will be to hold YouTube to account. And personally, I think the only way that they're going to make a change is if it costs them, and if it costs them a lot. So I hope you join me in this. I hope that if you are a content creator, particularly on YouTube, and you've noticed some, that your content just isn't getting traction anymore, look at your transcripts, pay attention to them, and if you see evidence of sabotage on your transcripts, it's not just an oops. it's not just Noops. I can guarantee you it probably isn't. It's probably that one of these big dogs thinks that your niche that you're publishing in is one that they want to own. And so they're trying to take you out. That's basically what it is. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this up. There were some other things that happened. Y'all, it literally never ends. I filed my taxes and I don't know if somebody was like using my identity and using when I was in Texas, I had health insurance through the marketplace and I had a credit on it, right? And so I claimed 1 month in 2024 because that's the only month that I used it. But then when I filed for 2025, it said you or somebody in your family had a premium tax credit for the marketplace health insurance, and I didn't. But when I was able to log into my account, it had been reactivated in February. So it's showing so there's actually two 1099s on healthcare.gov because it shows that even though it had ended in after January 2024, it started back up again. And then for all of 2025. And so I guess the marketplace automatically re-enrolls you, but it had been stopped. So I don't know if that's just straight up fraud or, it could be a glitch. I mean, that's a lot of money with that glitch. Or if somebody was using health insurance and my identity. I don't know. The other thing is I was looking on my health plan here in Oregon, and this is just a screenshot of it. And this is what I just discovered yesterday. Do you see all those pharmacy entries, all those claims? I'm not on a single medication. This isn't even all of them. This is not even all of them. I'm not on a single medication, and I never have been. The only thing that I have gotten is my COVID and flu vaccinations, and I got a shingles booster in 2025. That's the only thing that should be pharmacy. So on August 4th, I went into the CVS at the Target in Kaiser, and I had scheduled my vaccination on the 4th. Go up for my appointment. They tell me that there's nobody there to give me my vaccination, and so they canceled it. But they charged my insurance. Same thing happened on the 6th. Again, I scheduled an appointment to go and get my vaccinations. I get there and they say, oh, we don't have anybody here to give you that vaccination. But they charged my insurance. And then on the 11th, I was finally able to get my vaccination. That isn't the only one. There's other charges in there that are fraudulent. And so that's another thing I'm sorting out. But it's like the criminals all over the place. I tell you what, it's like this is a reason that I don't have the toolkit up yet, because it's literally been one thing after another. But anyway, if you stuck with me through all this, thanks. Sorry for all the upset, but this is just the way that it's been. And sign up for my newsletter. If you go to resources at Raise to Walk or resources.raisetowalk.org, then you can sign up for my newsletter then, and then you'll get notification about when I have that toolkit available for download. So anyway, thanks again for joining me. And just as one last reminder, I reported the people who are behind the sabotage of my accounts to the Salem Police on October 6, 2025. And I reported Phil Talon, the Dean of the School of Christian Thought at Houston Christian University, as one of the people on that gave the other whole document of other people that were involved. Nothing has happened. They have continued to hack, sabotage, it's still ongoing. Nothing has happened. Got an email from HCU just like a week ago, and Phil Talon's leading a trip to England for like some Inklings trip. He should be in jail. He should be in jail. And let me just say this. This is just one little thing that I want to say, and I have an opinion about this. When I went through that program, when it was still known as Houston Baptist University, it was an amazing program. Holly Ordway was the one that really founded the apologetics program that I went through. But John Mark Reynolds was he was a temporary provost or something. He was in a temporary position of, I guess, president of the university, but they didn't call him that. But he started the apologetics program and the film program, both amazing programs. From what I have seen and things that I've read, Phil Talon is not the only problem at Houston Baptist University, and this is an issue of leadership. And I'm speaking directly to Robert Sloan. That university has some very amazing programs, and it has gone down the tubes since he has been there. So the fact that Phil Talon is still in that position and nothing has been done, that, again, is an issue of leadership. Just because Phil Talon went to St. Andrews with Robert Sloan's son does not mean that he should be able to hack, stalk, steal and plagiarize, not only from people out there, but I know from students. That should not be allowed. You don't like what I say? You have my number. You have my email address. You know where to find me. You can come and say something to me if you don't like what I have to say. So just thinking that you're going to ignore it and it's all going to go away, you're a complete idiot. And every single person on the board that is continuing to back Robert Sloan, you're part of the destruction of that university as well. Anyway, that's all I've got to say today. I'll talk to y'all later.